game. Time to play the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud and honored to have the fastest man in the world in the house, Mr. Ben Johnson. On September 24th, 1988, this man shattered all records by running the 100-meter and beating American Carl Lewis in the 100-meter final at the Olympics in Seoul. Today, we have him here at Vaughan Sportsplex 2. It is going to be the down and dirty interview that everybody's been waiting for. We're going to talk about everything, no holds barred. I welcome the fastest man in the world, Mr. Ben Johnson. Thanks, Ben. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Welcome to Vaughan Sportsplex, our facility. How do you like it?
Very good. Nice place.
Thank you. Awesome. So hopefully we can see you here in the future working with kids on some speed performance and development.
Hopefully, yeah.
Good, because Ben is obviously a fantastic coach, works with kids all over the GTA and Toronto area for soccer, hockey, all sports. This is your man. You need coaching. There is nobody better. So Ben, before we get started, I want to ask you a question that's probably been on everyone's mind and people are waiting for me to ask. Ben, do you smoke weed now that weed is legal in Canada?
No, I don't smoke that stuff. No.
Good man, because neither do I. Exactly. Athletes shouldn't be smoking weed.
People don't understand the read of how it works and what it works for. You know, you don't smoke weed because you want to smoke because it's a weed. It's a drug that also can emulate mental effect, and also it doesn't make you eat. It relaxes you and you don't want to do anything. So it's a very drugs that not so good for your body.
So weed messes you up if you're a young athlete. So kids, if you're listening out there, weed will mess you up. Makes you slower reaction time.
That's right.
Right? Makes you weaker.
You don't think properly, makes you weaker. You don't want to eat.
So you heard it here first. Weed, kids, no good.
No good.
So even though it's legal in Canada, if you're training and you want to perform at top levels like Ben did, stay off the weed, kids. That's the most important thing.
That's right.
So Ben, I want to talk to you a little bit about your history. Who was Ben Johnson before that fateful day in 1988? Like, you grew up in Jamaica, you're Jamaican, and then you immigrated to Canada?
Yes.
Okay, what year did you immigrate to Canada?
76.
Perfect. So when you got here, obviously a new country, we don't have the Jamaican weather, so there's no ocean, there's no sunshine. How did you get into track?
It was a culture shock for me that my older brother Edward was into the Scarborough Optimist Track Club and invite me there, and that's where I met Charlie Francis. And the reason why he invite me there is because in my high school track and field races, I won 2 ribbons in my 100 meters and 200 meters, and he asked me what time I ran. I say 11.00 and 23.5 for the 200 meters. So he said that's pretty fast for a kid like me.
For a high school kid.
High school kid, yeah.
11 seconds and change is super fast.
Yeah.
So he recognized that you had potential right out of high school.
Yes.
Where did you go from there?
I went to Lawrence Collegiate.
Lawrence Collegiate.
Sports school where Charlie Francis training the groups of kids out there, and that's where I met Charlie Francis for the first time in my life.
Charlie Francis, famous coach, wrote the book on high performance athletics for athletes. So he found you and he recognized the potential in you to be a big star. Do you think he knew that you had what it took to go all the way to the Olympics and be world champion?
Yeah, he saw the determination in me and the focus and the drive and the passion, and that's all he needs.
So he basically mentored you. He coached you to get to the top.
And guide me, yeah.
And guide you. So when you won the gold medal, before that you had won bronze medals, right? You had won international medals at competitions before the Olympics.
Yeah.
You were winning many. What were some of the competitions that you won leading up to the 1988 Olympics?
Most of the competition I was leading up to the games, I was much younger. I was a junior running against seniors. That's how good I was.
Wow.
But I didn't win any major competition, but I was with the big boys at a young age running against the best in the world.
Wow.
And I was maybe 20 meters behind, 50 meters, 10 meters behind, and my time was improving. So I was quite thrilled, and by doing so, I'm training myself to get better and better. I know that I'm going to lose, but I'm trying to try my best to be the best I can be in a race.
So I think that's an amazing lesson. You just said it. You knew you weren't going to win, but you were in training mode, working up to be the best you could be.
The best you can be, yes.
And you said, you know what, this is my starting point, but I'll get there. And you worked towards it.
That's right.
That's phenomenal advice for young athletes.
Yeah.
Would you say that you had the natural talent? Obviously, you had natural talent. But would you say you had natural talent and then you developed it to be the best you could be?
Exactly. That's what happened over my 40 years of training.
Got it.
In track and field.
So your training philosophy is obviously what took you to the elite level.
Yeah.
Because as a natural athlete, you could probably only go so far.
Yes, and it's also, my mom was also the biggest drive of my career.
Beautiful. Can you speak to that? Because I remember back in 1988, I was in grade 10 in geography class, and we heard Ben Johnson won the 100 meters, and I'd always heard that you had this tight relationship with your mother, and your mother was a big influence on you, and she supported you through good and bad times. What was it about your mother that, again, you mentioned her today, was the bedrock, your foundation?
When I was a young boy, I see my mother going to 2 jobs to support the kids and support me and my brother to go to training camps across America and across Ontario, and she can afford only $60 between me and my brother to give me for pocket change, and the club would pick up the rest of the money. So I see my mother doing that for so many years, and I said to myself, whatever sports I'm going to be involved in and become good at, I'm going to make sure my mom taken care of.
Wow.
And I want to show my mom that our hard work and our dedication to come to this country is not going to be, come just as an ordinary immigrant.
Right. So you were an immigrant.
There's a reason why this thing happened.
Would you say because you were an immigrant, that was an advantage or a disadvantage?
It was an advantage for me to come here, to meet Charlie Francis, and to be
big advantage.
Big
so
advantage.
I remember you did a lot for your mom. I remember reading the Toronto Star saying Ben Johnson bought his mother a house. Ben Johnson did this. So I know you were representing a lot of big brands. Like back in the day, you represented Diodora, which was one of the biggest brands in the world for clothing lines.
Clothing line, yeah.
What was it, and how did it feel like to be such a major player in the sports world, representing some of the major brands of sports apparel throughout the world? How did it feel?
I mean, it feels pretty good that the hard work that pays off on 19 days, sometimes 40 hours a week I train for, through pain, through injuries, through cold, flu, not feeling great. Just keep grinding, keep getting better and better. Nowadays, if parents see their son and their child got sick, they say, you know what, just stay home and and go training.
Right.
You lost 2 weeks of training. You could be improving.
Right.
In my case, we didn't do that. We don't care what's coming.
Right.
Snow, rain, we still
matter.
train. We don't care what's coming. We still get the job done.
So would you say you had that toughness internally?
I got that toughness internally.
And you don't see that the same in kids today?
No, we don't see that, no.
What do you think the big change is from like your generation to kids today?
Our parents, I know it's the son and the daughter to make sure that they're healthy and they don't get sick. But if they're sick, like a cold or a flu, sometimes if you come to training and sweat it out, you will feel much better.
Right.
Because the flu wants to keep you in bed. You want to keep you inside.
Keep you down.
Keep it down. But you got to fight it. You got to be mental strength to fight the flu and to go out and train. And if you get sick by doing the training, and you can improve by doing that and do a PR on what you're doing.
Right.
What's going to happen when you go into a major competition?
That's right.
I don't feel good. It's all a mental game. So I've been there before. I'm physical fit. I'm in good shape. I'm strong. You can get the job done.
So mentally, you would say it's probably more important to be mentally tough than physically. Because
Yes.
you have to be able to mentally get through obstacles.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay, so this brings me to my next point. You're a young guy, you're training, you got this celebrity status. How hard is it to be Ben Johnson at 25, 26 years old, being internationally recognized, and having all this fame? How do you handle that as an immigrant kid?
Life is half and half. Life is 50% good, 50% bad. When you're famous, you can get a lot away with a lot of things, and if you're not famous, you're not going to get away with a lot of things.
Right.
So it works hand in hand, depends on how you look at it, on what type of approach you use on business, or you meet people, or
Right.
are you in trouble, And the guy
That's right.
say, it's Ben Johnson or it's P.K. Subban or whatever it is. It's
right.
okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If the next guy, is not so famous and not so bad, they say, you can't do this. I like slap on the wrist, don't do it again.
Right.
It works like that.
So it's 50-50.
50-50.
So
Life
like
is
we
about
were
50-50.
talking a little bit before the interview, that I remember being a young kid seeing you at Palazzo's on the airport, a big club in Toronto, driving a black Testarossa, hanging out with Lennox Lewis, famous Canadian boxer who represented England. How did it feel when you walked into a room and you knew everybody saying, hey, there's Ben Johnson, fastest man in the world. And you had it all, money, fame, young guy, good looks. How did it feel?
I mean, it feels good, but sometimes people doesn't know me as the real Ben Johnson.
Right.
I mean, 80% of the people knows me as Ben Johnson, the runner.
Right.
But Ben Johnson, the person, I'm a completely different person.
So who is the real Ben Johnson then? You tell me, who's the real Ben Johnson?
The real Ben Johnson will come to your house and shove the snow off your front step. That's the real Ben Johnson.
Wow, a
That's the type of
humble
guy.
person.
Humble.
That is amazing. And you know what? I always thought that of you because watching you on TV, I could see that you were genuine. You were a good person. And even when things got bad with the media, I remember watching after the Seoul Olympics, you going through an airport and everybody chasing you and trying to get pictures. You still maintain composure. Would you say that's because of your upbringing and your humbleness?
It's my upbringing and my humbleness, and I know what the truth is, and one day the truth will reveal itself.
Good. So this brings me to my next point. This week, or last week in the Toronto Star, there was an article. So I'm sure you obviously saw a great article by Mary Ormsby, if anyone gets a chance to read it. The article, to sum it up, basically suggests that the World Olympic Committee and the testing committee basically pulled a fast one on you at the Olympics. And they're saying that there's a possibility that some of the lab results were tampered with. You read this article, obviously. What do you think about what was in this article?
First, the public should understand this very well. This game here is a politics business. It's a very big money-making scheme. The reason why I get test positive, they claim that I get test positive, is because I was with Diadora, the biggest shoes company, one of the biggest 5 shoes company in the world. And because they're going to be number 1 in the world in sales, the shoes, they disrupt my number 1 spot in the world. But we know right off the bat that the testing and they claim that the drugs that they find in my system or whatever is fraud. I know that something went wrong. There's a fraud plays involved. And how can you condemn somebody without seeing the results?
Exactly.
The lab results with my name's crossed out. This drugs was in. This drugs crossed out. Which drugs it is? Which one you're working with into? So and they still go on and they still go on and still having a double inquiry for me to blackmail my own self by say what I did.
So
and
they basically took you down. They framed you, took you down.
Took me down.
What do you think the role of the Americans was? What was the role of the Americans' influence on the Olympics and sports worldwide, and them perhaps wanting Carl Lewis to be the gold medal winner?
The American Federation, or the government, you say, would give the ROC at least $400 to $500 million a year on sponsorship money.
Wow.
So
that's influence.
For sure, these athletes that test positive in America over the years is going to be protected.
Right.
And there is many athletes in 1988, not just me alone, test positive, and everything was covered up, washed on the tape because
and that's what the article saying. Many other athletes.
Everybody's sleeping in the same bed with everybody else.
So they basically framed you. From what I got from the article is that tons of other athletes tested positive, yet they weren't taken down the way you were.
There's a next guy named Donachie, is also the East German based in the drug control department. Knowingly, all the East German athletes was taking steroids. And even some today, the world record, it still stands.
Still stands.
For 34 years. Because no other people can break this record.
Right.
And these people was using drugs.
So for me, you're still the fastest man in the world no matter what.
It's incredible.
Because they set you up, they framed you, the Americans and the Olympic Committee basically colluded to make sure that they got who they wanted to win because there was cash involved with the Americans supplying the Olympics all these funds.
Everything. That's right.
So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. At the end of the day, you can read the article yourself, which I suggest you do, but Mr. Ben Johnson, for me, still the fastest man in the world, hands down, because everybody else was doing exactly the same thing, yet they were never taken down the way you were. There were no inquiries. They were let off the hook, and you were left to hang.
It's been 30 years, man. It's a lot of sleep for 30 years.
That's a lot of sleep.
It's a lot of time.
How do you get over something like that, or do you ever get over something like that?
Well, number one, something like this that happened to a human being like this, you can never get out of it.
Never get out of it.
With my faith, I believe in Jesus Christ is my Savior.
Amen.
And I say to Jesus Christ, don't let the devil rejoice over me. And I pray every so often.
That's amazing.
To Jesus Christ and to God that this thing has to come to pass.
So your faith has kept you strong.
My faith I kept me strong.
That's amazing. Okay, Ben, let's move on to the second part of your life where you become this high-performance coach. You've coached some of the best in the world, especially when it comes to soccer. We got a soccer facility here. You've coached Maradona. You've coached Gaddafi's son. You've coached some of the most elite athletes in the world. Tell me a little bit about your time with Diego Maradona and how he prepared for the 1994 Olympics. He came to you because he knew you were number one. Tell me a little bit about that.
When Diego came to me in 1999, 97, I think he was going back to Boca Junior for his final year from performing, and he was in rough shape, and I get him down to, we lose about almost 45 pounds in less than 8 weeks.
So he lost 45 pounds in 8 weeks. What did you do to him?
Well, no one could get this guy out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So he didn't like to wake up?
No, you can't get him out of bed. It doesn't care who you are. But when you're making that kind of money,
yeah, you better get up.
You will get up.
Okay.
You want to be the best you can be. And
right.
We get him there. And when we went back to Argentina, there's a big banner saying that, thank you, Ben Johnson, of bringing back our era back to us.
Wow.
And up until this day, I have the banner at my house.
That's amazing.
And when this guy is on the field, it's like magic.
Oh, absolutely. He was a soccer god, as you know.
When he's off the field, everything's changed.
So how did you keep him so disciplined that you got him to lose the weight? Because I'm sure he tried before, but it didn't work with other people. What was it about you and your program, the god, Diego Maradona, the soccer god, to lose the 45 pounds and be in game shape to go and play?
Well, we train twice a day for about 8 weeks. We eat very good low-carb diet, more protein.
So high protein, low carb.
Low carbs. We do a lot of flushing, lots of treatment, lots of massage, lots of hot and cold shower. We do a lot of sprinting. He was already strong already, so we don't waste our time working on that.
Okay.
We are working on sprinting.
Right.
He quick 30s and 40s. He was moving pretty good for his age and for the time. So I was in good shape that he was doing very, very well.
Amazing. You did a phenomenal job. Tell me a little bit about...
And not only that, when we went to Argentina, and we in a press conference, and an audience see him, all the media see him trimmed down like the way it was. They said, Ben, what the hell you do to this guy? I said, that's what track and field training does to you.
That's what a high-performance coach does.
That's right.
And that's why you're one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit how you ended up in Libya with Muammar Gaddafi's son, because we know he went to play in Perugia for a little while, but he called you again. One of the superstars of the world calls you and says, I need to get in shape, I need to be ready. How did that happen?
Well, what happened is Saudi knows of Maradona because of the soccer. He's in love soccer. And after he was brought there and Diego make his appearances, they were sitting down talking about sports and blah, blah, and training. And they say, you know, you're in good shape. Who trains you? And he go, Ben Johnson.
That's it.
And that's how comes the word gets out. And
referral,
then,
word of mouth. Word of mouth business.
Mouth. And then Saudi tell his people to contact me over by social media. And then I was in Libya coaching the man.
And how was that coaching in Libya versus coaching here? Because I know you coach at York University, Tate McKenzie. How is it coaching in Libya? Is that different than coaching here?
It's different. They little bit behind
Right. Their methods.
Methods of training and also nutrition.
Okay.
So we have to train his own nutrition, and we talk to the chef and say, you cannot use this oil anymore, you gotta do this way. And he said, okay. In 1 week, it wasn't working because he wasn't listening to us.
Right.
So we said, what happened? He's not losing weight.
Right.
We're training him, but he's not losing weight. Something is wrong. So we went back again and said, listen, you gotta do the training, you have to do the right nutrition that we give you gotta use it. They said, okay, Mr. Ben, okay, sir. And the boss tell him that you gotta do what we need to do. So they listened to him, and then he started to lose weight. He lost, when I was there for the first time, it was 225 pounds.
The first time.
First time, and I'm let him down to 45 pounds less.
Wow, that's amazing.
He didn't have any body when I went there. Now
Wow.
he was in shape. He got a butt. He got a back. He got strong.
You formed him.
He was hurting people on the field.
Wow, so he was strong.
He was strong.
So you completely converted this guy.
converted this guy. Converted him.
Incredible, incredible. So
In 90
obviously
days.
super successful coach. In 90 days, if you want to get strong and fit and you are a high performance player looking to go to the next level, this is the man you need. Let me ask you something about your business life. And how did you meet Frank D'Angelo and the cheetah thing? How did the cheetah drink and how did that all come together?
Well, the reason why, that I make some mistakes of my life, and that's one of my mistakes.
Okay.
The reason why I did it is because, not for the money, is because I was out of this media for at least 5 years. I keep a low profile for 5 years.
Right.
And I contact by his people, and they send me a draft and say this is what they want to do, and I didn't say yes right away.
Right.
And I look at it, I mean, it's quite funny, and people might do it a different way.
But it's a business decision. Sometimes you make good ones, sometimes you make bad ones.
Yeah, so
that's the lesson.
So I say, you know what? I know this is gonna raise a lot of hell, but
and it did. It raised a lot of hell. It raised a lot of hell. Let me ask you the next question. Where do we see Ben Johnson in the next 1, 2, 3 years? Where do you see yourself? What are you doing? And what are your goals for the future? Because I got to tell you, you look like you're in incredible shape. How old are you now?
57. Just
You
57.
look phenomenal. You look like you could beat any 25-year-old. Let me tell you. Tell me where you see yourself in the next couple of years.
My secret is I take one day at a time. I don't live tomorrow. I can't live yesterday. I live today. So every day I live 100% healthy and do the right thing.
Amazing.
And get a lot of sleep, drink lots of water, get all that stuff I do. So I live every day 100% and carry on. Well, in the next 25 years from now, if I live that long, I like to see my granddaughter grow up, do the right things.
You're a granddad? You don't look like one.
I got
you look
three.
Young.
I got three.
Three? Oh
Three.
my Lord. You look phenomenal, I got to tell you.
So I want to do some investment. I want to get my clothing line run again when I got this thing overturned and get back on my feet and then just do slowly.
Fantastic.
I'm not in here to make a lot of money. I'm not a greedy person.
Right.
Because if I was greedy, what happened to me, I lost millions of dollars. I would have killed myself a long time ago.
Absolutely.
So money is not a big...
It's not your main motivator.
It's not my motivation.
And for your legacy, do you believe, obviously you're a Christian, you believe in Jesus Christ. Do you believe in redemption? Do you believe in people saying, you know what, I made a mistake, but we got to give second chances?
I believe in karma, and I believe that people that do me wrong, karma will find their address.
Amazing.
Because they're going to suffer to what they did for me for 30 years.
Amazing.
They will pay the price for it.
Amazing. And that speaks for itself. Ben, I want to thank you for being here today at Vaughan Sportsplex. I hope to have you here soon training some of these young high-performance soccer and hockey and volleyball athletes.
These young kids need to get off their phone and their computers and be healthy and do the right thing.
Did you hear that, kids? Off your phones, exercising, being healthy, eating the right food, and having faith. That's what it's all about with Mr. Ben Johnson, still the fastest man in the world. To me and all of Canada, I think you make Canada proud. You're a real, true human being, very genuine, and I was honored to have you here today on our podcast. Thanks, Ben, for coming. I appreciate it. Can you do me one last favor? I've got these custom shoes, and these are from the Canada Futsal Association.
This is going to cost some more to sign this.
If you can sign this for me, I get you a custom pair with your name on it. That is incredible. Custom shoes signed by the fastest man in the world. Thanks, Ben. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you,
my friend. Thank you.
It's all about the game. And how you play it, all about control. And if you can take it, it's all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. And who's gonna make it?